Welcome everybody back to Cyber Warrior Studios. This is Security Happy Hour. It's me, Cyber Warrior, and I have with me today my boy. I'm gonna call him AR just because that's what I've always called him for as long as I've known him. We met back at Fort Bragg, going back to 2012, I believe it is. And it's an honor to have him on here because it's been a long time since me and him actually got to talk. And I see he's been doing a lot of different things. So I'm very happy to have you on here. And to get us started, why don't you, well, first, I need to make two housekeeping comments. The first being, if you're on Facebook watching this, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and allow the comments to come through so that when we do our giveaway, which I'm going to give the hashtag here in a second, you're able to enter. So second is, in honor of Rises hitting 200 followers on Twitter, we are actually going to use that hashtag for our giveaway today. So for the giveaway, make sure you use hashtag Rises, and we'll be able to do that. Now that's all cleared up. AR, man, introduce yourself. Let them know kind of how you got into where you're at, because I know you're doing machine learning and AI and a lot with data analytics and stuff like that and data sciences. So let them know how we got how you ended up doing that from the IT stuff that you were doing in the Army.
It's been a long time. It's like 6 years since we've seen each other. So
Playing beer pong.
My hair.
God, it's luxurious, man. It's luxurious.
Well, I'm thinning out. My brother calls. I just got a haircut this week, but my brother calls me Jonathan Davis. He's the lead singer of Korn. So, let's see. That's much better. Okay.
There you go.
What was it called? So I joined the Army. Not right out of high school. First, I went to college for graphic arts, which is going to be important later. When I joined the Army, I went in as a 21 Lima. It's an MOS that doesn't exist anymore. It was a lithographer, which is a fancy word for a printer. That merged with another MOS and eventually became a geospatial engineer. So they're like map makers, which is also important. The one and only unit that I've ever been to in the Army was 3rd MISB, which is where I met you. Let's see. I became later reclassified as a 25 Bravo, the information system specialist. I got out of the Army and joined the National Guard. There I did some instruction, which was something I really, really enjoyed doing. This was privates that are coming in. I was teaching them, basic land nav, customs and courtesies, tactics, techniques, procedures, that sort of thing. I really liked it. At that time, California, it was an interesting thing. Right now, since the world is so hard up for cybersecurity specialists and especially those with security clearances, that California being so populated that the Cyber Protection Team, actually I saw that you put 125th Cyber Protection Team. I was part of I believe 171st. It wasn't standing up at that time, but it was the 171st Cyber Protection Team, which falls under the 91st Cyber Protection Brigade, which is the National Guard's brigade for cyber protection. Well, they stand that. Keep in mind, California is like if it was a country, it would be the sixth most populated country in the world. They sent out a mass tweet to all the National Guardsmen saying, if you have a security clearance and you have any type of IT experience, we're putting together a task force. So I signed up for that and eventually got sent out to meet as part of the task force. Various National Guards from across the country created task force teams, and it went into 780th in Fort Meade to help stand up their cyber protection team. It was part of Task Force 1 and 2. Task Force 1 consisted of California, Georgia, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Utah, and Virginia. Those that were there got a chance to extend their deployment. Yes, it was a CONUS deployment. to Task Force 2, and I stayed there. The second task force was Louisiana, Mississippi, New Jersey, New York, South Carolina, Texas, and again Utah. If anyone's wondering if I'm violating OPSEC, this is information that can be found on the Army website. So if it was really that's privileged information, they wouldn't put it up there. While I was there, I got to see First Sergeant Billups retired. So at that time, he was Sergeant Major. So
yeah, so he retired 2016,
18.
17?
2017. That's when I was there.
Yeah, yeah. He was. It was interesting because he's been doing a lot, but you know he kind of does his own thing. He's an odd one.
Yeah. Well, we're all odd.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I did like First Sergeant Billups, well, Sergeant Major. Yeah. I think he made Sergeant Major. So, yeah. So in all these travels, you worked in cyber, and you ended up being an instructor and everything else. How did that affect you in what you're doing now? And did it really guide you into how you now, because now you're doing what? Data science, machine learning, and AI, correct?
Data analytics.
Huh?
So, data analytics.
Yeah, yeah. So
data
with that, are you using that towards cybersecurity? Is that kind of what your niche is trying to how that can integrate into cybersecurity?
A few weeks ago, last month or something, I asked. I was taking a live course on Safari or O'Reilly, and I asked Omar Santos. He's the leader of Red Team Village during DEF CON and stuff, and I asked him what his opinions were on the machine learning and AI, and he gave a quick answer because we were talking about something else. But he said there's still a lot of research to be done in it, and so I decided to look into it, and I find out that right now there's very little in terms of cybersecurity. Government, big businesses, all that is throwing money at everybody who's trying to use machine learning for, like, say, Netflix is using for recommendation. Yelp is using image recognition. Google doing the self-driving cars. Duolingo doing machine learning customized instruction.
Yeah.
What was it called? Let's see. There's Fit Analytics that measures, your fit of clothes. Hugo Boss, Calvin Klein, Patagonia. They're all using it. So they check your measurements and see what will fit, what will not, how you like your clothes, how you not like your clothes. Let's see, Droidlet, that's from Facebook. They're doing natural language processing. IBM has Watson. They're also doing natural language processing. Ken Science is doing medical diagnosis, that sort of thing. But out of all the industries that I'm telling you about, do you notice there's one I'm not talking about?
Ours?
Security, exactly. So no one's really looking into getting into cybersecurity.
It's crazy too, because you see all these vendors. Like, I've been to quite a few conferences and things like that. You see a lot of vendors that are like, oh, we use AI, or oh, we use machine learning. And the reality of it is, what I see a lot is behavioral analytics. So it's not AI necessarily. It's not machine learning. It's we see what the users are doing. And when the user's baseline goes out of the norm, then we'll trigger something. Yes, there are some that use a little bit of machine learning, but I don't see, and to your point, I don't see a lot of vendors that truly are doing the research and R&D and things like that into machine learning and AI. So, with where you're at now, where you're working, and that being your concentration, do you see it benefiting the cybersecurity industry in the long run, getting involved in things like machine learning and AI?
Well, research company Gemini came out 2019 came out with a study where they went across and asked 850 executives across 7 countries, across 7 industries. They started asking them about cyber, about machine learning and cybersecurity. Things that they came out with, that 56% of cybersecurity professionals say that they're overwhelmed. This was 2 years ago, mind you. 23% were saying they weren't unable to investigate or they weren't able to investigate any identified incidents, and 43% of the executives said that they noticed an increase in machine speed attacks. So, in terms of cybersecurity and machine learning and AI, some people say it's still in the academic domain where people are still looking at it. Some are saying it is happening.
Right. So what do we do? How much money do you think and how much research needs to be done for this to really take off? Because I still think there's a misconception and a big difference between AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so I think with that, we see them used as buzzwords a lot, and it's not necessarily like, maybe they're saying AI, but it's really machine learning, or they're saying machine learning, but it's AI. So do you see that kind of being a problem as well, where they don't, a lot of companies don't understand what is being used in their products?
Well, in terms of AI and machine learning, even the machine learning and AI experts don't know what's going on in what they call the black box.
Right.
So, like I was mentioning before, there's still a lot of research to be done. There's new types of attacks that you've probably never even heard of, in regards to machine learning. And first off, let's make a definition between distinguish between what AI is and machine learning is.
So what is your definition and what is your differences?
Okay. AI is a software or a platform or program that mimics human behavior or mind behavior. So it's just a program that would react the same way a mind would react. There's the Turing test, where if an AI is so real that someone who's interacting with it can't tell the difference if it's a real person or not. Steve Wozniak had his own version of it, where he said, if a AI machine can make me a pot of coffee, I'd consider it sentient, as in like a machine would go identify what a cup is, measure out what the amount of coffee and all that noise. It can make me a cup of, I'd consider it sentient, that sort of thing. But AI is just a whole bunch of if then statements.
Right.
If then statements, and part of that, to get the if variable, you use machine learning, which is a bunch of algorithms, neural networkings, support vector machines. I'm drawing a blank right now. Decision trees, decision forests, that sort of thing. It's just all different methods on how to get different things, different types of information,
right,
from data.
So do you find machine learning and AI really have to coincide with one another to really function the way that it is intended, right? So in order to have, if they were to truly make AI sentient, right, to where it learns, it grows, it does all these things, because if you look even in movies and in history and what AI truly is, that's what it is. It's something that can think for itself, essentially. So in order to get there, would you have to combine machine learning, which means it learns by choices that are made, by things that it does or interactions it has, it learns. But then you still have that, well, do I do this? Do I not do this type of thing? So do you have to coincide them both and to truly have this AI engine have AI on top or machine learning on top of or underneath AI so that it truly is what people consider AI?
Yeah, well, actually, machine learning is a subset of AI. That's a part of it. You can't have AI without machine
Right.
learning. So yeah, they're two different definitions. It's two different things. Or AI just uses machine learning as a tool for it. So yes, you can't have AI without machine learning. So
So then
unless you're like,
how do we integrate this into cybersecurity now? Because with all the ransomware, with all the things going on, I see a lot. Like I said, I see a lot of AI and machine learning passed around in EDR firewalls, especially your next generation firewalls, your SIM vendors, your IDSs, your IPSs. They all use these terms, and some may use some form of machine learning or AI. But um, with all the research that still needs to be done, what would be the best way, in your opinion? And again, this is I have not done the research on it myself. So, in your opinion, as someone that works in this field, where best could cybersecurity benefit? And let's start from a subset of like EDR, firewall. Like, which of these appliances or softwares would best benefit from the research into machine learning and AI?
in terms of red team or blue team.
Let's start with blue team right now.
Okay, blue team. You can machine learning can be used to identify and classify and measure certain activities. You create data, or you find data sets. You put it in through a machine learning algorithm. It would be able to tell what if something is malware, or if the activity going on the net is meaningful, where you see there's an intrusion detection going, or there's an intrusion, or you notice that there's all of a sudden a spike of traffic that it's very unusual at the time. A lot of it has to do to find out what's meaningful. What's meaningful?
Right.
Let's see, like they would say phishing occurs in between 9 to 5. Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, that's not meaningful. But when you realize that phishing occurs at the on Friday, well, then that's when you realize, okay, that's meaningful. That means people are rushing through their emails and not really paying attention because they want to get through the weekend. So
Right.
that is something meaningful. So first off, we would have to find what's meaningful. These events that trigger that sort of thing, and a
So
lot
then
of it is
does
not
that
very.
require, and I think it's something a lot of companies miss out on, is baselining, right? So when we're looking at this from a blue team perspective, in order to know what's normal, you have to be able to baseline your systems, right? So what is normal? What is normal in your network? What is normal with your users? And then you can learn from there. One vendor that I have seen, and I've heard great things about them. Dark Trace does things like that, right? They take like a month basically to truly find normal. Now they'll start implementing alerts and things like that after about 7 to 10 days, but it takes about a month to really find what's normal and then be like, hey, this is off. You got a user that's accessing a file from a directory that they shouldn't be accessing. You've got emails coming in from email addresses or containing data that it shouldn't contain. So we're going to put this into phishing or whatever. We're going to block it. So do you think is there any way to speed up that process of baselining? And do you think that machine learning and AI is really going to heavily rely on companies and devices baselining before they can implement anything?
Oh, definitely. Um, you got some downfalls of machine learning and AI is they're greedy. They are greedy. They're hungry. They require vast amounts of data, and the more data you put out it, the better it performs. and to do, or that's one thing that needs to be taken care of, is actually going out, finding out all the information, cataloging it, data, scrubbing it, putting it onto the vector space, making it available for the machine learning algorithms, or excuse me, your machine learning algorithms to be able to quantify, to measure out. So that's one problem, is actually finding out what information is needed and actually collecting it. So data mining is part of machine learning. It can go through, it can analyze millions and millions of logs and find little patterns and things that you never really know is connected in a way, and it triggers like, hey, when this happens, it's an intrusion, or when this happens, that means a certain malware is there. Also along the lines of computer forensics.
Right.
So it finds all the information it needs from whatever computer forensics goes through, and it does it it transforms cyber forensics from hours to seconds.
Now, do you think something like this, and really being part of it, will we? Because I know a lot of people fear losing jobs, and you know, when you can automate things, then it takes away from what humans can do, and there's always human error. You're not going to escape that. You're going to miss something. But at the same time, even with machine learning and AI, it depends on who programmed it, right? It depends on who put in the algorithm, who put in the choices. So they're still going to require, because of false positives and false negatives, human validation. But do you see, with the advancement of this technology, it forcing companies, or it making companies think, well, we don't need as many humans to be here to do this job? Do people that work in this field have a right to fear machine learning and AI as it advances and can truly do the job of an analyst or an engineer, or whatever the case may be, as those things come about?
Not for a while. It's funny that you mentioned Darktrace. Their AI mimics cybersecurity experts. They get a whole bunch of cybersecurity experts. Like I said, it takes months. They start noticing, or they monitor everything a cybersecurity expert does in that company. Every click, every log, every time they access a file, it learns from that and then starts working that way. So you can't have a machine learning cybersecurity expert without it learning machine learning cybersecurity.
Right. So it is one of those things that's going to take a while. It is going to take time. I see companies thinking they can get away with less humans behind the keyboard, but because there's always that, you always have to validate. You always have to make sure, because I don't think you're going to get away from false positives. You're going to have a sysadmin or an engineer come in that runs some tool, and you know, the machine is like, oh, that's out of the ordinary. I don't want to allow that. But it's going to take a human to look at it and go, no, he's allowed. Like, that's permissible. So I don't think there's anything to fear. I think they may shrink the size of security departments, so to speak. So instead of needing 50 people, you may need 25 or 30. But I don't necessarily think I don't think we're ever going to be replaced in cybersecurity, just because of that human factor that you're going to need.
Now, one thing that machine learning, or IA, does not do is provide insight.
Right.
It only follows instructions. That's what people have been unable to replicate in machine learning, is insight. So, yeah. So yes, I can't tell you exactly how it, or I haven't thought of this in future think, as they call it, where you ask the questions, what if the farming industry was no longer available, and how would that affect the world? That's called future think.
Right.
But I haven't thought about how machine learning, because there's a lot of AI and machine learning going on right now, and there's still a need for cybersecurity experts. There's still a need for IT experts, that sort of thing. But to say, do I have something to fear? No, I don't think there's anything to fear within my lifetime. So you ask someone in the 1919s, 1920s, something like that, where in the United States the biggest industry was agriculture, and then you realize that agriculture has been replaced with like tractors and fertilizing techniques and that sort of thing. So a lot of farmers lost their jobs. But if you were to ask that farmer in 1920, what do you think you're going to be doing next? They wouldn't even understand what a computer is.
Right. And
So you ask.
And Mary says it right here. Human factor in the field is pretty important because computers automatically do 1, 2, 3. So like if whatever it is, it's 1, 2, 3. Like they follow the instructions in order. Whereas a human can be like, well, I need to do 1, then 3, then 2 because of the way the information fell. And it's like we said, machine learning and algorithms and AI and everything you do in computers, it's all based on how you program it. It's up to the user to program it or the engineer or whatever. And so if they don't program it to think in terms of, well, this looks off, let me go back and check this one, or let me skip this step, go to this step, and then back to this step because it looks better. We can do that. As of right now, they can't. There's no AI, there's no machine learning, there's no algorithm out there that can just be like, well, this doesn't look right, because it's all on how you program it. They're going to follow the steps.
And even even AIs can be biased in certain situations. This is a little bit of a disclaimer. This is not something that I promote or anything like that. It's just something that happened in 2015. Google had their image recognition programs that would classify what things are. This is a car. This is a boy. This is a man. This is a house. This is a tree. That sort of thing. But the issue with all the machine learning that was going on, mind you, it builds itself. It creates itself. It's the infinite improbability machine. It's a machine that created a machine. So in 2015, Google image recognition would classify black people of African American descent, as gorillas and chimpanzees. So in 2000,
I think I've seen something about that.
Yeah, in 2018, they other research companies, I forgot to write the name down, double checked on it, and they found out that Google has just taken out those hashtags. So now nothing gets classified as a gorilla, a chimp, or a monkey.
So they went from, it was classifying the wrong, species as a marsupial or an ape or gorilla or whatever, but now it doesn't classify any at all as that species.
Well, this was in 2018. I'm not sure how it does it now, but in 2018, someone checked and they said they took out those hashtags. But even though you programmed Google, that was a bug. That was an action that it didn't that people didn't want. That it was making a mistake. Now, according to the machine learning algorithm, it was reinforcing it, making it stronger.
Right.
Humans had to come in, and fix that bug. So there lies in the need of humans for machines.
Yeah.
So a big thing you've been talking about, women in cybersecurity, or women in tech in general. Machine learning algorithms make recommendations to find out who's the ones that are try to maximize the amount of scholarships or programs or degrees going out. Because the way it works, since men tend to be more technical thinkers, the machine learning algorithm would focus towards men and would be more biased towards men and focus on that. That's when humans have to come in and say, hey, we don't need just, there's half the population you still got to look into. So you go in and fix the bug, where you go into the black box, fix that, and make that happen. So there's always going to be a human element to where it doesn't do what you want it to do. So
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think no matter what happens, and this is kind of why like I tell my kids to get into like programming and AI and robotics and things like that, because you're always going to need some form of human element. You're always going to need a programmer. You're always going to need, because even if you think about it, even when you get into AI and machine learning, it's still a computer. It is still in essence something that can be hacked, something that could be broken into, something that can be abused. So you're still going to need security even for AI and machine learning. Um, you're gonna need to do something to fix it. And you know, if you go as far back as like the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, I mean, as much as they were perfect, we found that they were not. There were still bugs, there were still flaws, there were still things that could be altered. And yeah, if you can go to the extent of saying like Skynet and Terminator and the machines become sentient and take over the world, blah blah blah. Whether or not that happens, look, it'll be far after I'm dead and gone, so it's really not a concern of mine. But still, you're still going to need people on the back end that see these things, that recognize these things. My fear, and it's the same fear that I think a lot of people have going forward in the future, is that a lot of people are going to rely on AI and machine learning and quit relying on that human element. And it's going to be to save money, or you know, whatever the economics are. It's going to be, well, this saves us money, so we're going to do this. Well, yeah, but now you're missing out on, you know, all the things that humans actually bring to the table.
So Short Circuit, I remember that movie with Johnny Five.
Yep.
um, you got to remember, all right, there's a story in data analysis lore. In the 90s, they found out that men buy diapers and beer on Thursdays. So
Really?
how do you use that? Yeah.
I buy beer every day.
Well, they noticed there's an uptick that men buy beer on Thursdays. Forbes magazine called this the diaper beer syndrome. So how do you use this? Well, you put the more expensive beer, or rather the beer with the biggest profit margin, near the diapers on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So and that's line of sight selling. And at that time, companies started started investing into collecting a lot of customer information, age, date, things that they purchased. And this was just in the 90s. Since then, we've had cell phones, social medias, internet, that sort of thing. What was it called? Target asked in 2002 asked someone if they can tell. Asked a statistician, can you tell if someone is pregnant by the things that they purchased? Not only can he tell you that someone was pregnant, he can tell what trimester they were in, and when the due date is. So then Target focused their selling towards those people. So they started sending ads to that person. Oh, buy these baby products. It was so effective that a man comes in with an ad yelling at the Target manager, saying, "Hey, why are you sending my daughter these ads? She's only a teenager. You're trying to encourage her to get pregnant." So the manager at a company store was confused, brought it higher up. Someone called the father and said, "Hey, we want to apologize." And they said, the father said, "Oh, wait, I have to apologize. Turns out there was things going on that I didn't know about." So Target knew the teenager was pregnant before the dad did.
Wow.
So
wow.
Right now, I'm not sure how much of this profit, but it because of this insight, Target's baby products jumped from 2002 to 2010, $28 billion in revenue. So
it's crazy how the data science behind it. And look, we all know Facebook, Google, Apple, Amazon, they're always listening, they're always watching. They have trackers on everything you do. So with that, it's crazy that they use these analytics and have been able to use it so well that you've got ads all the time just based on a picture you post or a what do you call it, something you may say. Or what I find even more crazy, and I don't necessarily know how it's done. I don't know how they know me so well. But like I'll just be thinking something like I need a new wallet. Like I will literally walk through Walmart and look for wallets. And then the next thing I know, I pull up Facebook or I pull up Instagram or I pull up whatever, social media. And the first ad I see is for some new wallet. And I'm like, seriously, the words never left my mouth. Like, how do you know? And it blows my mind because they are very, very good at how they target their ads. And it's gone beyond just the age, gender, race, religion. Like the ad market has gone beyond that to where now it truly targets the most minuscule of data. And it's crazy. And I as awesome as it is to see, because I think it's a truly a great innovation in technology and programming and data science and just everything else like that. It's fucking scary how well they can do these things. And we see this every year, whether it's an election year with who they're promoting or a holiday seasons and Easter and things like that, like just the different things they promote and how they promote it is absolutely insane to me. And I think all these companies, Facebook, Google, Apple, I think their marketers all work together in all their data science teams. And I think all the trackers are tied together for each other because of the fact that you can literally search something on Google and now all of a sudden Facebook's giving you ads for it. And all you did was search it on Google. And it's like, I didn't even go to Facebook. I didn't even, what does Facebook have to do with this? And they track it all.
Yeah, they find out that certain people that do certain habits do certain actions.
Yeah.
So yeah, if someone a male goes to the store to buy beer, he's most likely, or to buy diapers, he's most likely going to be most likely going to buy beer. But going back to what I was mentioning about the Target increasing their revenue, I'm not sure how much of it is due to Andrew Poll. That was the name of the statistician. But it made a jump in the revenue, 23 billion between 2010. But when it comes to that amount of money, simply by information, it's going to galvanize a lot of companies to start collecting more. And this was in 2012. Where smartphones weren't even around, where apps weren't even around. With the amount of smartphones where information is being gathered, or the amount of traffic going in and out, it is unbelievable. The amount of data is unfathomably huge.
It's
you
unreal.
Get so much information, and you're narrowing it down to also things in cybersecurity. So the question was, do I see companies using machine learning and AI in cybersecurity? What I'm saying is you'd be stupid not to start implementing it.
Oh,
especially
for sure.
With the amount of information going through.
For sure. And I think if done right, now let's flip this, because we talked a lot about the blue team and the amount that AI, machine learning, and really investing in doing R&D in these things can help us. How could this affect the offensive side, whether it be a pen tester or someone malicious? Because if the offensive side starts doing things and using machine learning and AI, so it's not just scripting, it's not just scanning ports anymore, it's It's really learning what users do based on maybe they drop a payload and they're like, I'm gonna watch what this user does for a little while, and then I'm gonna exploit that. How will that change the game in what the blue team has to do?
One quick thing about a blue team. When developing AI or any systems for AI, including the systems it is on, data analytics and AI go through a process. They collect data, they find what's relevant, they choose the algorithms, they create the model, they evaluate the model, they deploy and evaluate and improve. That's a system, a form that they go through. Because of that system, that cycle, that process that they go through, that creates a new avenue where red teams, where malicious actors, where adversarial actors can attack everything at each level. So in terms of data collection, have you ever heard of data poisoning?
Yeah.
So when machines learn, they have to use data. Thing is, you can put false data and give something, or you make the AI act a certain way. You can mess around with telemetry and have the IA focus on something else that opens up another avenue for red teams to attack.
And that's crazy because I've talked about that before, where you have kind of a distract and then attack method where you push all these alerts in one area as a way to distract them, like, oh my god, we're getting blown up over here and on this end, so that you can then exfil data from another avenue. So they're so concentrated on these alerts that they completely neglect the other alerts and alarms that may have gone off, so that by the time it's caught, they've already exfilled all of their data. They've got social security numbers, credit card numbers, whatever the case may be, whatever PII, whatever PHI, whatever they're trying to get, they get by distracting them here and then getting it here. So if you could data poison machine learning and force it to think, oh, this is wrong over here, let me concentrate on this. This is normal because now it's just data flow. It's just internet traffic. It doesn't matter. You overload the system at that point.
Yes, exactly. But also to think about that is AI can focus the AI red team can focus the attention of the AI blue team on things that are trivial or things that are not high priority, and have all their resources focused on that. That's another thing. Another feature IA can do is it can prioritize what needs to be acted upon now. What is a vulnerability, but it's not a high vulnerability. There was Dr. Eastman. He did a cybersecurity machine learning live event on Safari. He talked about someone said that they can hack into a box that's not on the net. And he listened to the speech, and the person said, okay, they got to have this certain sound card, and this machine has to have this certain plug in it, and then I can use my app that I've developed to get in through the system through the sound card. Well, that's kind of what's the word for it? Kind of I forgot the word for it, but it is a vulnerability, but not one that requires immediate attention.
And so one of the things I saw was somebody through CCTV cameras and waves and wavelengths, like just through sound, was able to hack into an isolated box. So no network connection, no nothing. But because they were within physical proximity of certain cameras and certain things, they were able to do that. And so everything we do has a price. Everything we do has a way around. And that is why and I think it was an episode or two ago, I talked about it with the bureaucracy, with the red tape, with everything that goes on with companies just wanting to make a quick buck and make money and make profit. You know, your pen tests are just normally, I'm not going to lie, a lot of pen tests are vulnerability assessments. I'm going to pay you $3,000, come in and find my vulnerabilities and, you know, get it done in 4 days. All right, cool. I'm going to go in, scan your system with Nessus and be out the door. I'm going to give you a report. That's all you're paying for. They're not actually getting pen tests done. They're not actively being exploited. They're not doing any of these things. And even then, their blue team maturity and their SOCs, they're not paying an MSSP. They're not doing any of these other things. So with that, I think you're going to have a lot of problems. And I think if machine learning and AI get on the ball with your attackers, with your adversaries, there's going to be no stopping them. As much ground as we try to gain on the blue team, there's going to be no stopping them at that point. But saying that, look, I'm going to bring in my co-host. Well, I'm his co-host technically on Thursdays for New Battlefields, Eric Bellardo. I got to step away for a quick second, but I'm going to let him take the reins and, you know, give his spiel, talk to my buddy Sergeant AR here, and really, look, as we're coming down, we got 14 minutes left in the show. Please, hashtag Risis if you want to win 1 month of Pen Tester Labs. And I'll be back here in a second.
So I haven't been reading the comments. Someone likes my facial expressions. Yes, I'm very animated.
Yes, very adamant because, you know, we're the Hispanic, you know, blood. So.
Oh, before I forget, my name is pronounced Fernando Arreguin, but most people just call me AR, Fernando Arreguin. So I've noticed that a lot of people. It's just a lot of Fernando Arreguin. That's why I call myself AR, because it saves a lot of time. People spending 30 seconds to a minute trying to. Arreguin. No, just call me AR.
AR. So, Sergeant AR. So I've been listening to all your stuff. I'm the author of the Intro to Artificial Intelligence Continuing Education on ISE Squared. I also did the course for Security Guide to Securing AI and ML on ISE Squared Continuing Education. So if you guys are ISE Squared members, go ahead and check out those courses. It is very interesting that you brought up the target information, because just about 2 weeks ago, I was listening to the it's audiobook of The Power of Habit, and on chapter 7 is the how did target know that you're pregnant. So they do a full case study on that. And I actually posted a link to Forbes episode on that on the chat. So if anybody wants to see it. So very, very interesting stuff that you were talking about, and it very close to home for me.
So
yeah.
The amount of information you can find, there's a joke in data analytics. There are two kinds of people in data analytics: those that can extrapolate information from missing data. So whatever it means, what that means is that the things that you don't see are just as important as the things that you do see. So in World War II, I forget the name, Wald, something like that. It was a statistician, British Army. They would get planes that they would notice planes coming in, and they noticed that the planes that came in had bullet holes in the cockpit, the wings, and the tail wings. Now you can't really reinforce a plane, or else it gets too heavy. So when they noticed these planes coming in, they said, you know what, let's reinforce the wings, the cockpits, and the tail wings. Still, no new planes came in. Like the average amount of planes that came in didn't change until the statistician Wald, W-A-L-D, I forget the name of it. He asked, where didn't the bullets hit? And they said, oh, well, it didn't hit the engine, or it didn't hit the center body. And he goes, reinforce that. not the wing, the cockpit, or the tail bit. So why? Because we know the planes can get hit on the wings, the cockpit, and the tail wing, and still make it back. That means the ones that didn't make it back got hit everywhere else.
Yeah.
So exactly. that's the missing information. It's also known as survivorship bias. So that's a word I want you to remember: survivorship bias.
Correct.
Just recently, I got into a Twitter debate because something went viral. Is where the Twitter analytics would focus in when it comes to a white person or a black person. I think they used Trump and Obama. And when you put a picture that's long or odd shaped, it focuses in on certain parts. Whenever Obama was on top, it would focus in on the center. Whenever Trump was, or whoever, I don't think it was Trump. It could have been Biden. Whenever Biden was on top, it focused in on Biden. Whenever there was a woman, the image, even though it's not proportional, would zoom in on the chest of the woman. So it made it went viral, except they pointed out, oh yeah, it's the Twitter image recognition is biased, it's racist, that sort of thing. It's just that they focused specifically on these few pictures. They didn't see all the other pictures that didn't act that way. So that's another.
And the crazy thing about the virility of that and how they go viral, and this is something that I think we've all seen, is regardless of how we want to classify sex, race, gender, whatever the case may be, men genetically and inherently don't.
Careful. What are you going to say?
In terms of marketing and what they're looking at, look at how a female looks and neck up to them in terms of overall. If we're looking at the genetics and DNA and just things like that, it shows, and you can see it in the marketing. You can see it in especially in the US, because we don't have nude beaches. We don't have anything like that. So nudity and sex and things like that are very much held on a pedestal in the US. So of course they're going to concentrate on, well, what's going to attract males? If I want males to view this, what do I have to show? Well, as a woman, you show them here to here, and a guy's going to look and go, I want to see that. And you see it all the time in a lot of the ads that come up on news, like, oh, look at these pictures of these, wardrobes that shouldn't have been worn. And it's very much scantily clad like women. But then you click it and you look, and it's, oh, hey, it's this guy that was wearing a shirt he shouldn't have been wearing, or this shadow makes this guy look this way, or it makes this girl look this way. And so they do it all the time. And the same thing goes for race. Right now, we are still very much ingrained in a culture where race, unfortunately, becomes prevalent. And so depending on how the image is, they're going to be that they concentrate on what they feel is important. And it's not necessarily what is important. It's what the algorithms feel is important. What do men click on? What do whites click on? What do blacks click on? What do Hispanics click on? What do, or the Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, what do they click on? Because that's what we're going to target. And if they see that a scantily clad woman gets clicked on more than some guy standing there in a t-shirt, that's what they're going to put.
As I was mentioning before, you want that sort of thing. A lot of back to talking about Red Team. Yes, you can use vast amounts of data. There's a movie that came out in 2000. Let's see, I forgot. 2009, 2007. The Joneses had David Duchovny and Demi Moore and Amber Heard, and I forget the name of the gentleman. It was about a fake family that was put into a neighborhood where they influenced the entire neighborhood. Keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Into certain buying. So influence like that is powerful. Is powerful. You can. If you want to, you have to start thinking in terms of systems, general systems theory, where there's an input, there's an output, or there's a process, there are feedback loops, there's positive feedback loops, negative feedback loops, that sort of thing. So when you put that, you have to think about that's another avenue of AI that red teamers can exploit. They can influence not just people now, but generations from now.
Right.
It goes back all the way into like advertisement days of the 60s, 50s, 70s. I've got married since you've last seen me, right? The tradition of a wedding ring is less than 100 years old. My wife is Hmong. It's a type of Asian that fought during World War II. They came to the United States as refugees. They have a custom where the husband pays a bride price.
Right.
So they pay the husband and the dad. That is a tradition more than 100 years old. You tell someone now, I had to pay for my wife. It wasn't me paying for my wife. It was a show of money to show, number one, I got money to take care of her. Number two, thanks for raising such a wonderful daughter.
Right.
Hmong women brag about it the same way American women brag about the wedding ring. Oh, it's 4 carats and it's set on this. It's brilliant cut. Thing is, that didn't. Oh, I got a platinum.
$70. 70 right there.
Walmart $32.
Damn, you beat me.
So, I just wanted something shiny and expensive, so it's
just an FYI, if you have a good wedding band as a male or female that is very strong, you can use it as a bottle opener. I know my brother-in-law does it all the time. Just an FYI, it is happy hour. I figure I'll let y'all know. You can not that type of bottle, Eric. Not that type of bottle.
But back to it. Yes, yes, AI and cybersecurity. That is an avenue to red team. Is influence people. Not only that, in terms of cybersecurity for AI, you got 2 things. Number 1, attacking the AI itself. Number 2, attacking the system in which the AI is on.
Yes, very much so.
So that's a new form of cybersecurity that is cropping up.
I see. So with all the supply chain attacks, and we're getting close to the end, so I do want to let Eric talk about RISIS, and I want him to talk about new battlefields coming up. RISIS, I know, RISIS. You don't have a double R there, so it makes it a little rough for me to remember.
RISIS.
So
it sounds more like a D. RISIS. So my name is Fernando Arreguin.
Arreguin.
Fernando Arreguin.
See, you got the double R. I could do that. His doesn't have a double R.
Well, the first name doesn't.
Fernando.
So, Fernando Arreguin.
Yeah, there you go. So, before I let him talk, I do want to talk about that because when you look at the cloud vendors and you look at supply chain attacks, I foresee companies like Darktrace that run the cloud. That's how they work. A lot of what they do operates in the cloud. So they attack the vendor that runs these algorithms, that runs the machine learning and AI, and that then has a trickle-down effect on all of their clients. And I think that is going to be huge here coming forward with what's going on. And I do want to do this drawing, and Eric's going to get into it. So you've got 5 seconds starting now to get any more hashtags in. So
Raíces.
We're done. Raíces. And we're going to draw. And somehow it picked up my name. If I win, I'll draw again.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's got you twice, doesn't it?
It does. I don't know how. I don't know why.
Hey!
I'm not winning.
You need all the help you can get.
Some days.
Just remember, there's no such thing as randomness in computer science. So
there's none. Decrypts. Hey, I got you on Twitter and I think Discord, so I'll send you the link for Pen Tester Labs. So you have 1 month of Pen Tester Labs now. Congratulations, Decrypts. It's not rigged, Mary, because I ran it again. Get off of it. So anyways, go ahead, Eric. Give the spiel of Risis. I am very happy, and I'm very happy to support that cause. I'm so glad that I've been able to. Fernando, if you have not been able to take a look at the links I sent you, I beg of you, please do take a look at what they have. And Eric, go ahead, take it away, man.
All right. Well, thanks for bringing me in here. Where am I?
There we go.
Okay, there you go. So Raíces, for anybody that doesn't know, is a new organization that we're putting together for Hispanics and Latinos and Latinas and allies in cybersecurity. It was very, very needed, as you know, the representation of Hispanics, Latinos, Latinas in cybersecurity is a very small percentage. Even though we're all out there, the representation in the field is very small. So we started Raíces with 4 different pillars. We're going to do networking, mentorship, resources for the community, and education for them, for anybody that's a member. So please come to our Twitter at Raíces Cyber Org, and we're going to post there you go, Raíces Cyber Org on Twitter. Please follow us there. And for more information, it's www.raicescyber.org. I hope to see you guys there. And also, I hope to see you guys next Thursday at 7 p.m. for Cyber Papa's new battlefields. So I hope to see you guys there.
Cyber Poppy.
Yeah, it's Cyber Poppy. They call me all the. So
I'm gonna try to influence. I'm gonna use AI to get everybody to start calling you Cyber Poppy.
Hey, I already have people that are calling me that. And
yeah,
then they put
who did we have? Who did we have put that on Twitter? Somebody put it on Twitter, or even in the new battlefields. Whenever Fernando said it yesterday.
Yeah, Dr. Nicole started calling me Cyber Poppy. Infosec Sherpa started calling me Cyber Poppy. I think Shayna started calling me Cyber Poppy, and Mary did as well. So
Shayna just said, "Hold up, Cyber Daddy was taken."
Yeah, that seemed a little cringe, you know.
A little bit.
I'm the Cyber Daddy, you know. Hey.
So look, hey, check it out. If you haven't liked, follow, subscribe, all those other fun things, go ahead, click those down below, hit that bell. Make sure you leave a comment, even if you come back, because this is live. Come back later, leave a comment. Please do so. I have appreciated everybody that has been on. As always, Eric, thank you for coming in, giving your spiel. I look forward to joining you again on Thursday for new battlefields. Fernando, thank you for joining us. Look, as a brother in arms and somebody I served with, I am very, very proud to say that I have served with you and that you have done what you've done for the country. Of course, Eric is another fellow Army
or Air Force.
Army soldier. Oh, he was Army.
Okay.
We served together in Fort Bragg, 3rd Military Information Support Battalion. That was us. It was PSYOP. They changed it to Military Information Support Battalion. I don't know why, but they did. They like to rename it. It's the Army.
A marketing thing. PSYOPs was too controversial. Nobody likes to know that they're being manipulated.
Yeah. So, but it has been a blast. Look, thanks for joining us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever you're watching. And I hope to see you all next week. I am here every Friday, every Thursday with good old Eric and Cyber Papa or Cyber Poppy. And Fernando, thank you for following along. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everything that you've been doing. And I hope to see you all next week.